Well, I am Fred Van Liew. I am from Dallas, Texas. I'm here with my wife, Kathy, and first time in about 3 years. And I cannot say we haven't thought about you a great deal, and I am really glad to be back. And as I just mentioned, you have been absolutely wonderfully warm in greeting both of us each time you'd walk by and say hello. And haven't had anyone hit me yet or anyone say nasty things to me yet. And but anyway, I am considered the water doctor, the water expert, and it's earned, and because I am. But I've branched out into many areas from there. However, water is the key for harmonic support, the key for hydration, the key to life. It remembers anything and everything that's been put through it, and even when you remove those substances, it remembers what was in it before, which is why homeopathy works, which is why water can bring about reactions from the body, and you don't know why you're reacting. And it's simply because it remembers things like medical waste. It remembers heavy metals. It remembers fluoride, even after it's been removed. My own son got poisoned with fluoride during conception and birth, and it nearly killed him. And we didn't know what was going on. This is 22 years ago, approximately. And it was baffling. And it took me several months before I knew it was even the fluoride. But meanwhile, there were mornings we didn't even know whether Doug would wake up alive. So I take water very seriously. I have been questioned a couple of times, and justifiably so. Fred, why can we trust you? It's because this wasn't just a business, not by any stretch. It was entirely personal. You know, they say some people become psychiatrists because they're so messed up in the head. Any psychiatrists in here? Some people, you know, we go into different fields because that's what we're trying to figure ourselves out. In this case, I had to find out what every type of water treatment would and wouldn't do. And I did a very good job and gained the respect of not only the manufacturers but the doctors, all different types of doctors, although I primarily work with chiropractors, naturopaths, and some medical doctors. And I'm really happy to say medical doctors are becoming much more open and excited about what the natural support for the body can do, because it's frustrating when you see the results in patient after patient happening because of natural support, but because of the philosophy of your profession, they say, you can't go there. You can't talk about it. How many times have you heard a doctor say to you when you've been getting great results doing what you're doing, and they say, I don't want to know, but just keep doing whatever it is you're doing? It's because they're not allowed to know. If they know, they'll just get more frustrated. If they say specifically to do something nutritionally, they're not, in most cases, legally allowed to do that. There are some exceptions, and it does take brave souls, but they do risk, in many cases, losing their license over an issue called nutrition. Isn't that horrible? Now, it's even worse in that one of the main causes of the diseases we have today is the cellular shutdown that is occurring in the body. This cellular shutdown is being caused by all kinds of stress that is unrelenting. It doesn't stop. It's 24/7 now. Particularly from cell phones, satellites, FM radio signals. FM radio signals. Can you imagine? And I only learned this last year. But FM radio, when it came in, when the first stations around the country came up, they saw melanoma cancer take off. There were some of those FM radio stations that failed. When they shut down, the melanoma rates came down also. That's an interestingly important statistic, I would think, that our government has kept from us, don't you think? Now, we all still have FM radio, okay, but our body adapts. It is amazing how we stay alive. Likewise, the cellular phones. Now, they came in. People will say, you know, I don't use a cellular phone because, you know, it's hazardous. Anyone ever talk on a phone and it begins to get warm on the side of the head? Anyone here? Okay, yeah? And, you know, you thought maybe the battery was heating up your head? No. That's the microwave. See, the phone is always seeking a signal. And it's sending microwave, like radar, to get a signal. And like the microwave oven that cooks a hot dog from the inside out in your house, This microwave is cooking your brain from the inside out. Microwave agitates sugars, water, and oils. Well, that's kind of what your brain is made up of. So you are cooking your brain from the inside out. Some of us say, oh, I'll put my cellular phone down on my waist, keep it there, right, guys? And I use either a Bluetooth, which is even worse than the cellular phone, or I have it connected by a wire. That wire attracts more microwave than the cell phone. This is right from Dr. Carlo himself, who is the cell phone expert. That he was hired by the cell phone industry to prove that cell phones were not hazardous. Only he found just the opposite, so they quickly said, we don't know him. But he's continued his work. And very absolutely and very gratefully, he what are you looking for?
Yeah, we lost something from the last lecture.
Okay. He had his assistant contact me and wanted to talk to me. And for an hour and a half, I had the pleasure several months ago of talking to Dr. Carlo because he had purchased, hadn't even asked me, I'd have given him anything he wanted. Guy's got integrity. He purchased, without my knowledge, this CP2 stress pendant. He purchased our little cell phone protector. We now call it the E-Dot. And my nutrition. And he was doing his work. And he wanted to call and talk to me because, and he said, this is unofficial, so I want to make this clear. He said until he does his actual clinical trials, he can't say this publicly. But he said, Fred, without question, yours is as good or better than anything I've tested. And he said, you seem to be the only one who's dealing with all three areas of concern. Primary protection. He said the secondary, which is the reversal. And he said, and then the tertiary, which is the actual repair at the DNA level. He said, you got it down. It's good. And I mean, I was just tickled pink. But he started talking to me about some things that I had a major concern about, that I had been observing. And that has to do with the way the cells shut down and don't open up again. And because you have to understand whether it's in the brain, whether it's in the body, and which, by the way, I didn't finish my statement. I take Resveratrol sometimes, so you might want to listen carefully. And if I say, now, where was I? We'll see who is listening. But when you have the cell phone down in your hip, guys, and you're, you're listening with an earpiece, on the hip, I have some important parts down there. Any of you? Okay. And when you cook a hot dog, how do you uncook it? Okay, so be aware. If you don't have protection on your cell phone, you are cooking any part of the body that it's near. And if you're holding the cell phone out here so it doesn't affect your head, oh, that's good. But how long does this hand that's connected to the rest of my body by an arm, how long does it take to cook blood there to get to my heart and get pumped to the rest of my body? And then the other is anything you microwave. If you've ever seen your blood before you drink or eat anything from a microwave oven, and then in a dark field microscope, and then look at the same blood just minutes after eating or drinking anything microwaved, you will see the ugliest blood you can imagine. All agglomerated, clumped up, free radical activity all around. You say, that wasn't my blood. It will stop you from eating or drinking anything microwaved. It truly is the worst thing possible. I tell people, you can put this through microwave, this EP2 stress pendant. You can put this in checked baggage. You can put this anywhere and nothing will harm it. It accesses the highest vibrational harmonics that God has put out there and allows your body to use those and cocoons the body. It's marvelous. But I said, you put it in a microwave oven and cook it for just 2 minutes and it's destroyed. And you want to feed microwave food to your kids? I know you'd never do that for your pets, but your kids maybe. And you, too much. So let's make sure we're dealing with some basics. Good nutrition, nothing replaces good nutrition. But we have a problem. Those cell phones that we've been using, disrupting our cellular activity, aggravating our bodies. The people that walk around with the Bluetooth, which I notice very few people walk around all the time with them anymore compared to last year. Remember? Everyone, I got my Bluetooth, but people having little cancer, taken off under the ear. Very common. So word kind of got out. And this was just like fingernails on a chalkboard, those of you that remember what that was like to our cells. If a heavy metal comes by a cell, that cell shuts down to protect itself from all the free radical nature around that heavy metal. But when that metal gets past the cell, the cell opens back up. We call that parasympathetic, opened up, chatty, hi, hello, I got a problem, adrenals, calls the adrenals, adrenal says, okay. But when it shuts down, that's called the sympathetic. Shut down, hunker down, doesn't receive nutrition, doesn't get rid of waste, doesn't do anything until it feels safe. Guess what's happening? The cells don't feel safe. They're not opening up again. They're shutting down and they're not opening up. Here's why. We have satellites up there, spy satellites. They have ramped them up so high, 24/7 these things are beating down on these points right here on the top of the head. I do a lot with chiropractors, governing vessel and conception vessel points. I could bring anyone up here and they could put 2 fingers on top of their head and I just take their arm. They can't hold their arm up. They go weak. Very few, if any of you, unless I've already fixed it today, because we can fix it, at least temporarily, but you'll go weak. That's just one indication. But if your conception vessel and governing vessel are interfered with, the communication that's constantly going on is doing this. It's like a pinball machine trying to get communication going in the body. And like any army, like any war, if communication isn't there, you're not going to wage an efficient battle. And life is a constant battle. All aspects from small to large. Every cell is battling for life. Every one of us battles for life. We feed ourselves or we don't. Everything we do, every thought we think affects our life and the quality of our life, right? Of everything I discussed today, by the way, your thoughts can override any and everything. No matter how much you spend on your health, no matter what you do, if you don't take care of what you're thinking and what you allow to pass your mouth, there's not a thing we can do or you can do that's going to be more important than getting control of what you think. So, this idea of the cell phones and then those satellites. Those satellites, it's like we're sitting, all of us, sitting here in a microwave oven right now, being cooked on a low scale 24/7. Without protection, we have a problem, and that is what's creating the problem. Your cells never get a break. Now, put this on top of what we already know is stressful in our lives. Our families, our jobs, New York. I mean, it's amazing. Any one of these things could cause temporary shutdown, but when you couple it with it shuts down and then the rest of this beats. Now I haven't even gotten to nutrition yet. By the way, that's more of a problem than it is a help. What we've been taught and what we've been teaching for 40 years. We've abandoned the truth 40 years ago. And look what we've got. We'll get into that in a minute. So we've got the satellites. Well, then we've got, in addition to our own cell phones, all of you who say, I don't use a cell phone because I know they're a hazard. How about the billions of calls that are being made right now around the world that are going through your body? You see, I have a cell phone up here, and if someone calls me from Maine, I'm going to receive that call here. Did you know if I, right now, was in the Philippines, if they called me, I'd get the call on my iPhone? That means that call is everywhere at the same time. Or there's no way I'd get it. And I get it like that. Now, everyone has cell phones. Unfortunately, the little children have cell phones. The microwave from a cell phone pierces a child's skull 7 to 10 times more than it does an adult skull in the same period of time. If you don't have protection on that cell phone, by the way, that works, you've got a problem, and that child has a problem. And the learning interference is tremendously horrible. So, it's a reality. Cell phones, we have to deal with them. But we've got to protect ourselves from the calls other people are making as well as the calls that are on our own phone. But that's still just part of it. But it is a huge part of it. Those cell phone calls, satellites, our own cell phones, FM radio signals, and the fact that all of the communication between the police departments, the firefighters, and all of this is microwave. It's just the way it is now. It's all microwave. And microwave is the same, just at varying degrees, as the microwave in the oven that cooks the hot dog from the inside out. It is not tolerated by your body cells. They shut down and they're not opening up. Now, some in this room I've tested, and you had 7 and 8% cellular function, which means over 90% of your cells were in a shutdown or partial shutdown mode. You're basically functioning on 7 to 10% of what should be operating your body. Others of you were at 20, 30. We had some that were as high as 50%. Yay! If you're at 30%, think about it. 20, 30% function. It's like running on one cylinder on a 6-cylinder car. How does your car run? And you wonder why you're tired at night, or tired in the morning, excuse me, after having a very rough night trying to sleep. You ache. Some of these you might relate to. Headaches. When you do get sick, you don't respond quickly. You eat, and you don't digest. I have, even in my own life, experienced eating food and seeing it literally come out. This is not a great picture, so sorry about this. I've seen it come out, and it looked the same as when I put it in. It's not supposed to look the same. No acid, nothing was functioning. Believe me, I can truly relate to what some of you are going through. And then comes the biggest challenge. How we abandoned the truth 40 years ago for modern nutrition. Modern nutrition, you see, started when we discovered vitamins. We discovered we could make vitamin C in the laboratory. The problem is that when you take ascorbic acid, the pharmaceutical vitamin C, by itself, you can give it to someone with scurvy. You've all heard scurvy, all right, and vitamin C cures scurvy. You heard that? Okay. Except it doesn't. You can take vitamin C up to bowel tolerance, which some of you that would be 10,000, some of you 20, some of you 40, 60,000 milligrams of vitamin C before you got to bowel tolerance, depending on how toxic your body was, means you get diarrhea. You still wouldn't overcome scurvy because there are no cofactors with that vitamin C. Everything in nature is intertwined with other things that allow it to work. New York City functions because New Yorkers interact with each other. People don't understand how complex an organism a city is, and certainly New York City. And yet within that, it's amazing. The troubles and the things that have happened in the past, and to see how, New Yorkers, they came through. That's what life is. That's what's happening in our bodies. That's what nutrition is. That's what plants are. They are a whole combination of cofactors. And when we isolate nutrients, because people want patents, because people want profit, we isolate the very truth that makes them work. So vitamin C doesn't cure scurvy. Yet a couple of lemons, a few lemons, limes, that's why they're called the sailor's limeys, a few limes, and you're over scurvy, because there are over 200 cofactors that occur with the vitamin C in a lemon or a lime. So when you have anyone here take vitamins? Good, good. Anyone here take vitamins where on the bottles it says the milligrams and micrograms of each of the individual nutrients? Your vitamin A, your vitamin C, your B complex, right? Anyone? Go ahead. Okay, good, good, good. Do you know that the only way they can do that is if they've isolated those and then put them back together? Here, I want your eye. I have her eye. That is an eye from a whole body. And it's a living body. Just like a vitamin formula from a whole food. This is an eye from a whole living body. Can it see in my hand? Now, I take your arm. I take your leg. All right? I take your torso. You just lost a leg. Take your torso, right? Oh, I got to take your head. That would be a good one. Okay, I put them all together, and I plop this eye in that head. Can this eye see? No. If I'm a super surgeon, and I just transplanted the eye, I can get that eye to see pretty good. Will it ever see as good as it did? No, it can't. Never, ever. And I'm the best surgeon in the world. And I put all these together. It has no life, nothing. I put some artificial life in there, and by golly, twitches, etc., the old Frankenstein thing. You've seen my little Frankie downstairs at my booth. And, twitches, kind of looks like, walks like, but it'll never, truly, ever be a living person ever again. Hence, your vitamin formulas, where they've isolated nutrients, even from whole foods, will never be a whole food again. The body will never use them as it would a whole food. It will never get life like it would the whole food. Plain and simple. Things like resveratrol. Resveratrol's hot, right? Anyone here taking resveratrol? Boy, the research indicates, and by the way, it's all just indicated, it's all preliminary research, indicates it'll stop the tumors, indicates it'll give you more energy. And they've done, the clinical trials, and it all indicates all this, and it is exciting, and you know what? It's true. But if you isolate the resveratrol from its natural matrix, the best source of resveratrol is the muscadine grape. Muscadine grape has 40 times the amount of resveratrol as other grapes. The muscadine grape has an extra pair of chromosomes. They call it the smart grape. The more it gets harassed in its growing season by nature, the more antioxidants it builds and defenses it builds for itself. It is an amazing grape, and it's native to the U.S. Ha! But you isolate the resveratrol from all those cofactors God puts there, and you take that resveratrol, and this works for clinical trials because they're for just a limited time. And the body has to find within itself the cofactors from all the other good stuff you maybe hopefully had eaten. But you're depleting cofactors that were meant for other purposes. So at some point, what do you achieve? Depletion. And when you get that depletion, you go over that edge. So, and I used to talk about, you try something, whether resveratrol, and you're getting results. Oh, this looks so promising, and you plateau. So you take extra. And all it does is, now you dive, right? How many times have you gone up? I hope, oh no, there it goes. And you swear off everything for several months or whatever until someone comes by with, this bottle of liquid, it got rid of my aches and pains, I'll try it. You start taking it, I feel so much better, but it's starting to come back a few months later, and I'll just double up on it, and no, boom, you're off the edge. And we are such suckers. No, I'd rather say we're optimists. I don't know how much of a difference there is between those two, but I would rather be an optimist and be naive than to stop at least trying. You're here. you're trying. And you're listening to me in spite of how I abuse everyone equally. So, and if I haven't yet told you, by the way, I am a Christian, and I tell you that only for this reason. I do not try to be politically correct, because I'm not politically correct. I don't try to be anything other than who I am, to try to please everyone and try not to be offensive. I don't want to offend anyone, but I am not going to be anything other than I am. At the same time, may I please tell you, you are given the full freedom to receive anything I say through your glasses. They may be totally different glasses than I wear, and that is okay. Receive them, filter it, any way you want. It's okay. I'm not trying to change you to who I am, but don't ask me to be other than I am. So sometimes things come out because of who I am, a certain way. Don't be offended. It's just who I am. Okay, so that's the ground rules. I should usually do that at the very beginning. So, and I deal with some pretty weird things like energies and all, so I do have Christians that go, "Are you a Christian?" Yeah, I understand. They just don't know, yet what I know. So, where was I now? After I took remember I said, you got to listen. I was talking about the vitamins with all the milligrams, micrograms, right? Isolating vitamins. And on the bottles, I asked how many of you have them where it says the milligrams and micrograms. When you have milligrams and micrograms, the only way that can happen is if they have been isolated and then put back together in a formula. They can, or as Kevin Trudeau says, formula. And be careful now. You know who Kevin Trudeau's first mentor was? Yeah, me. I've known him since he was 15 years old. Through the good and the bad, trust me, this man is the real deal. And I was his conscience for years. It's not that he always listened. I jokingly say, she has his book. I jokingly say, 70% of his first book, I believe I taught him. The other 30% I'm not sure I agree with. Now, he laughed harder than anyone when he heard me say that. But, it's pretty accurate stuff. It's just, and it was the first book, his first Natural Cures book, was the first book people read from cover to cover. I mean, the grammar, did you notice? It was horrible. The syntax, even worse. In other words, it was written in English. And people read it and understood it, and he created this incredible stuff. He's got over 100 million of these books in all his books now that have been read. And people are more informed now about natural health and natural nutrition because of his book and his work than anyone else in natural health. So, love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. He has done phenomenal things. And right now, what he's doing in terms of, you might go KTRadionetwork.com. That is the only source that I'm aware of where it is uncensored. Neither government, nor pharmaceuticals, nor natural supplement companies can put any pressure on him to have him alter the truth as he finds it and sees it. Not that he's always 100% right, but this man is plugged in at the highest levels everywhere. It's amazing. And they hate him. They hate him at the FDA, FTC, and the pharmaceutical companies because they're all in bed together. All right, even the IRS hates him. His book on, debt cures and all, he wrote that because, they have 3 auditors in his offices every day. So he wrote this book on, how to make sure you're paying only what you should pay in taxes, and he wrote what no one else could write. People say, Kevin, how could you do that? Aren't you afraid? He said, afraid of what? They'll put a 4th auditor in my office? So, his sense of humor is terrific. And I say, Kevin, I'll go anywhere with you, just not in the same plane. So, but, yeah, he is terrific. A beautiful wife. But what he's doing for the right reasons. And just know, when you have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars defending the truth and the right to speak the truth, support those people. They're rare. They're few. In government right now, you can't find 5 on one hand that you could count in that category. And I'll get too far off into that because this healthcare got me a little upset. What's that? KTRadionetwork.com. Yeah. KTRadionetwork.com. And he has everything archived. His most recent show is always, you just click on it and it'll play. It will blow you away. You don't have to worry about whether this network is competing with this network and saying lies about that network and accusing this network. You'll just get the truth down the middle and just, receive it through your glasses. Understand? All of us can make mistakes. I think I may be the only perfect person out there. So, all right. Now, so we're back to, these formulas that have the milligrams and micrograms on them, then that they're fractionated, isolated, even from whole food, and the body is going to treat them as a stimulatory synthetic. Stimulatory is a bad word. It really is. You drink Red Bull, you drink coffee, you drink these things all the time, and they're stimulatory. They go like this, and then you go like this, and your whole day is like this and this. And after a while, the body, if you know someone that when they get up in the morning, they cannot get going until they've had their cup of coffee. And then 2 or 3 hours, they've got to have another. If their whole day is coffee, 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 what do they have? They truly have adrenal compromise. They are shut down, and their whole life is on synthetic energy, artificial stimulatory energy. Not a good situation. Now, people were doing that long before we had the satellites, long before we had the cell phones, long before we had the FM radio stations. But when you add all this, it's almost an impossible situation. Again, cells shutting down and not opening up. Now, we have wonderful formulas. I have been, for many years, impressed with how year after year, that's what happens when you have all these gray hairs when they weren't there when I started in this industry. But when you see the quality of what's being offered increase, and the quality of the nourishment, the quality of the information. Heck, you guys force us to keep studying and reading. We don't want you knowing more than we do, and some of you really do. Know a lot more than we do. And my hat's off to you. But it is confusing. You ask 5 people in water the same question, you're going to get 5 different answers probably. All right? But Kevin Trudeau does know who to call. He calls Fred. But I'm not the only one. He'll talk to anybody and he listens. Which, by the way, when it comes to water, if you're confused about water and you ask Kevin Trudeau, what kind of water should you drink? Because he sometimes talks about distilled, like when you're dieting, and sometimes he talks about reverse osmosis. And he's, promoted this fancy distiller thing, which I would never promote. Not that it's distiller, but it's a waste, in my opinion. But he has a reason. But he says, look, and when people say, what kind of water should I drink, Kev? I'm confused. He says, look, I don't know. That's a wise man's answer. He says, I don't know. He says, you ask water-wise, they're going to say a distiller's the only way to go. He says, you ask Fred Van Liew, Fred Van Liew's going to say reverse osmosis. It's the only way to go. He says, you ask someone from Multipure, and they're going to say carbon block. That's the way to go. Leaves in those beneficial minerals. Not. But anyway, But he says one thing they all agree on. He says they all agree you don't drink the tap water. So please, just understand that anything a step up from tap water is a step in the right direction. But if you want to get healthy, you must purify, not just filter, your water. Reverse osmosis or distilled. There are very few exceptions. Keep it simple. And the reverse osmosis is the most practical in most applications, and every time a problem arises, whether it be methyl tertiary butyl ether, or whether it be bacterial contamination, or whether it be some kind of new metal or the lead, your reverse osmosis system is taking it out, they find, better than any other technology, because it is a group of all the other technologies. So I laugh when a carbon block salesman says, oh, carbon block's the only way to go. We're much better than reverse osmosis. And I say, but the reverse osmosis, if everything failed except the last filter is a carbon block. So how do you make a statement like that? And it's because that's all they sell. All right, I make sure I either sell everything or I know about everything and apply things in the appropriate way. Likewise with nutrition. If you're taking and have been taking the stimulatory, synthetic, or isolated or fractionated nutrition in any form over long periods of time, you are going to be overstimulating your cells. They're already having a hard time, and they're going to start to shut down, and you're going to make things more toxic. We haven't even put in your own toxic thoughts yet, have we? There is no greater toxin for your body, nothing that shuts down your cells more than your negative emotions buried deep. And they take enormous coherent energy to purge those negative emotions. You can't get rid of them without coherence. We have a major shortage of coherence, you may have noticed. It is hard to get. It used to be in the waters that we drank, but it's no longer there. New York, by the way, when it got its water, and still does, from the Catskills, before it had depleted them so much, which they have, the Catskills, it had good energy. Even after they fluoridated it, which they've done for a long time, it still had good energy, more so than other cities. But a lot has changed since then. And they even add aluminum silicate to the water to line the lead pipes and all. Aluminum silicate is not good for the brain. It gums up filters. Guess what? It gums up other things. But it does reduce the lead levels. We sometimes do funny things to cure an existing problem, creating even more of a problem. So you've got you're stimulating your system with the synthetic vitamins or formulas from whole foods that have been isolated. Excuse me. The drinks that we choose, the coffees, the Red Bulls, and we're shutting down the cells. And we're giving them no rest. So the answer is we've got to get coherence into the body. Write it down. You've got to get coherence into the body. That coherence doesn't exist in most supplements. All right? You say, but even Kevin says, eat organic food. Well, today, even organic produce is no guarantee that it has coherent energy. Tell me what in law says that organic produce has to have energy. They were zapping those wonderful New Zealand apples with, when they'd come into the country. Our marvelous FDA and agricultural, if it's alive, kill it! Kill it! Have you noticed? These trumped up, these big, agribusiness, they're the sources of this contaminated produce, and they put through these bills to make it so organic farmers can't handle all the paperwork, and they'll drive the organic farmers out. That's really true, by the way. You can go to wellnesslecture.com. That's wellnesslecture.com. Use my email, fred@ewater.com, to get in at no cost to you as a referring email, fred@ewater.com. And I would recommend you listen to the Adrenal Exhaustion 2009 lecture. Far more comprehensive than what I've just been able to touch on here. I really feel like I've just whittled away too much time here, and I've just touched the surface. But there's Adrenal Exhaustion 2009, and then there's a question and answer period. And I recommend you listen to that. That's about 20 minutes. The first one is almost 50 minutes. You will get many aha moments and a great deal of understanding from that. You can also get a CD of that downstairs at the booth 403, the Trinosol E-Water booth, down in the back ballroom or whatever it is. And you can also have your own question and answer period where you can ask me lots of questions. I love questions. But more importantly, you can learn where Coherence. Quanta Water, put together by Dr. Paul Yannick. Quanta Water is the best source of a water catalyst. It is the least costly water catalyst. It is available from ewater.com. It is available from Trinosol. Just a sip of this, a teaspoon, just like this, every 2 hours for the first 6 to 8 weeks will constantly give your body this harmonic boost. Your body is a liquid crystal continuum, and it will raise the energetics. This has 60% of the possible highest level nanotesla harmonics in this water. The closest I've found to anything like it was Grander Water, which has 3 to 6%. And Grander Water could produce some extraordinary results. We got 60%. And it costs less to use than any other water catalyst on the market. And also brings the hydration from any pure water or dead distilled water to from 85 to 100%, from 20 to 30%. So that's one of the keys. If you do not add that to a protocol, you're going to have trouble getting the adrenal exhaustion recovered from it. Then there is this EP2 stress pendant. Now, I've only got a couple of minutes. I would like someone who would be my victim or volunteer. Who would come up? Yes, young lady, of course. Come on up. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is, if I may have your arm, this is just basic muscle response testing. No, it is not kinesiology. It is basic muscle response testing. Ever been near a really negative person? All right. How do you feel? Put your arm down so you don't get tired. Drain. They're just sucking the life out of you. Well, that is what's happening. They're destroying the structure, the hexagonal structure, the fluid in your body, and you're losing your energy. And you want to do one of them moonwalks away from the person, right? So, it's not even conscious. Do you have to be talking to the person to feel that way? No, just their negatives will do that. Well, if I have you hold your arm up and you're standing near that negative person, your arm is going to be a lot weaker and a lot easier for me to push down than if you're standing next to Fred Van Liew, where you come in here tired and you just start waking up. Oh, you put a good effort in there, sir. You did definitely a good effort. Yeah. Kidding. But anyway, so if I do something that if I go, okay, just hold your arm up there. Okay, hold your arm right there. There it is. That's called a lock, you see? And in muscle testing, it's either a lock or it's not. Someone said, well, I don't know. That's a no. All right? When it's a yes, give me a yes there. See that? Give me a no. It's like that. All right? Is she a woman? Is she a man? Ooh, she is what she appears. Good thing. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. I love you. I love you. I hate you. I hate you. Think of something that really upsets you, besides me pushing on your arm right now. Got it? Okay. Yeah, that does. Okay? And if she had a cell phone, anyone have an unprotected cell phone? Anyone? Unprotected. Gets pregnant very well. No, I'm sorry. Just there you go. She's got one right here. And is this on? Okay, great. Okay, put that up to your ear. Arm up. Okay, and resist. And doesn't take much to push that down. Now we could, I think I've got one of these somewhere. Yeah, I could. Yeah, this little dot here I have on my phone. Hold that against the back. Put it up to your ear. And that stops the EMF. You notice the difference? But think that negative thought. That will stop her cell phone from damaging her. This is 93% protection with an E dot. It is the best. This is the kind of thing that Dr. Carlo was really impressed with. Okay, now think that negative thought. Got it? But it doesn't protect her from her negative thought. Nor does that protect her from all the other calls. Now, if I take the EP2 stress pendant, okay, and I put that around her. Now put that up to your ear. Now think that negative thought and resist. And I go, I hate you, I hate you. No, 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 no. Now there was no blood in my hand at that point. Could you tell the difference? Okay. Now give me back my protection and the other. And I thank you very much. Give her a hand for being a good sport. For those of you that think you may have adrenal compromise, which is cells, it's almost never the adrenals. It would have to be Addison's disease, a genetic dysfunction for your actual adrenal glands to not be functioning well, which explains why these adrenal formulas that have been out there don't do much. It's not your adrenals. It's like the economy, stupid. It's the cells. So this provides the harmonic support for the cells as well as the protection. Drinking and sipping the Quanta Water. And then there's another, the perfect balance. This one is a lot of fun. Now, I didn't do this with you, did I? Come on, I'm going to wake you up. You put that on your, if you would, please. We got to do it quickly because we're almost, we've got some time here. Come on up here. Now, what I need is I want to just take your arm. Just face me. Face me. There you go. See? There. Now, so he is. Is he a man? Is he a woman? He also is what he appears. Now, 2 fingers on the left hand, 2 fingers right there, flat on top of your head. That's it. Governing vessel, conception vessel points, right? And there's one smart lady. See, she wants to remember this stuff. If you mimic what I'm saying, you'll remember. Okay. That went weak, didn't it? Now, scrunch. That's a medical term. Scrunch. Just under the belly button. 1 inch under the belly button. That's a Chungmo point or adrenal point. Whoops. Take your arm away. Take your arm away. Okay, just wanted to make sure it worked. Okay, the arm does work. Now, scrunch just above the belly button. Just 1 inch, okay? And that's the duodenum. Dr. Yannick would say, if you fix the duodenum, then you fix the patient. Now, we go over to the liver and resist. What's the matter? Don't you feed this guy right? No, just kidding. Gallbladder point. And by the way, I'm not sure. I was working with a family. I don't know whether they're still here. The daughter had some knee problems. Just fixing T4 on the spine with the TBM can get rid of knee problems in many cases. They find that out in sports. Right here in the notch. And resist. That's systemic infection indicated. Right up here. Little finger only. This is stress. Now, if this gentleman was not stressed before he met me, that arm didn't even need me to push it down now. Now, all points, top of the head, spin around 3 times. I'm kidding. And I do this to everyone. And the indication is he's got segmentation going on right here. Take your hand away. Now, I'm just going to take energetically on the back of his hand. This is perfect balance. Now, rub the backs of your hands together. There you go. Just energetically, we're clearing. 60 more seconds, and we're out. I see. 2 fingers top of the head. 2 fingers flat. It's like, okay. Notice the difference? Scrunch just under the belly button. And see, I like him the best for this because it's like, what? Just above the belly button. Over the liver. There. There you go. Isn't that amazing? Now, they're not healed. It's just the energetic interference has been removed. Now when you eat, you see, these are harmonics at the highest level. Now when he eats his organic produce, it's doing something. Before, he could be a raw foodist. And it won't do enough if he's got all this interference. Which, by the way, we have Victorious and Catherine back there. They are absolutely the elite of the raw foodists. Victorious, doesn't matter how awful he looks at times, that man is energetically alive. I checked him and all these points were strong. One was a little, but I mean, I don't check people where everything's strong. That man, yeah, and Catherine, unbelievable. Now, right up here, and once again, cleared. Now, right here, what's this, the stress point? Now even I can't stress him, see? And then up here, he's no longer segmented. He's going to respond. All right, have a seat and thank you. Give him a hand. I appreciate it. We have, just so you know, we have some specials at the booth where with the EP2 stress pendant, you can get the EDOT, which is a $44 value. In and of itself, you can get it absolutely free with the purchase of the EP2 pendant. And just to be a little commercial here, because it is important, I can talk to you, but if you don't take action, you don't get results. But I would recommend you come down, let me check you personally, let me check your adrenal function, see where you are, and a certain amount I can do over the phone, and there are times when you're a real mess, I'm going to refer you to certain health practitioners like TBM practitioners and all that can put your wiring back together so you can respond faster. But there's 85% of you, all you'll ever need is a bulldozer pack. Come find out what a bulldozer pack is. Okay? God bless you. Thank you for your time.